Today I'm gonna be animating this one character from the game. I recently I restarted my computer because it was having some kind of issue with like a Wi-Fi driver or something. My computer does stuff like that all the time. And in the process, I I guess I accidentally deleted a bunch of animation, or it was really only one major animation that I made for the game. It was a certain simple boss for one of the stages, but he's probably one of my favorite designs from the game. Somewhere on my Instagram, I have this one picture posted that has him in it. He's named the Pyre. He's like one of the interloper bosses, I guess. I don't know. They're like, I forget their lore. They're supposed to be like angels or something that want you to stop going through hell. I forget why, or maybe they're not. Or maybe they're pretending to be, but that's why they still have horns. I don't know. But anyway, the Burner is a really interesting character because his gimmick is basically that he starts off with 5 times damage, so he's just like really OP. But it's kind of linked to his health, and he's a lot like the ghost enemies in this game. So his HP is, he doesn't have a lot of it, and yeah, it's linked to his offense, but also at the same time, he has infinite defense, and when he takes damage, he explodes, so really he's kind of just like a skill issue character. But he's always been a favorite because he's kind of meant to like embody that like part of Crux philosophy where it's like, oh, the game's broken, isn't that funny, guys? But I don't know, he still has a special place in my heart. um, yeah, as far as all the characters go in the game, I mean, he's still probably not even the strongest, but he obviously has a lot going at face value for something stupid like that. Like, obviously nobody but me knows how the game works, but I think in any game, having 5 times damage multiplier is usually pretty strong. Um, but there's obviously other ways to get that much going. I mean, all characters, their offense value have a baseline cap of 5. It's just like he starts with it, but in exchange, he doesn't really have a lot of other tools. And like I said with the ghost enemies, there's certain bosses that actually have that mechanic, certain final bosses. So, like, you know, what good is that much damage if it won't actually do anything against somebody with infinite defense? Which the idea there is like defense will reduce, an attack down by a certain amount. But if you have infinite defense, you know, what am I doing? You don't really take any damage except one. So, besides the Burner, there's a few characters that you guys have seen already that I also already have animated. One of them is a Schism. I think he was not the first character designed for the game, and something that tripped me up a lot is I actually forgot the real life order of like the circles of hell and Dante's Inferno because of that. But the Lover was the first one, and he's basically just like an HP spam character. Let's check that. Okay, that's good. That's good. For the Switch frames. So he doesn't really do that much. He can make like these pillars that like regenerate his HP, but that's really about it. The Schism though, he has a cool like directional thing. So like he's half black, half white, and enemies that are facing his black side take double damage. And Cruxisor was originally like a co-op game, so his white side was actually kind of strong in that like allies in it like healed twice as much, and you and other allies took half as much damage from those enemies on that side. But that's not really a thing anymore. So um, he's still pretty strong, and the game loves damage, so it's not bad. But he also, then you might ask like, oh, what does he do to like enemies in front of him if they're not really facing either side. Does he just get both benefits? He actually doesn't get either of them, but he steals whatever sorrows they have. And in this game, I mean, there's names for it and everything, like Mugenics, it's elite buffs. It's one of the only games I play, so... Or actually, I haven't played it in a while, but... In Isaac, it's champion enemies, you know, it's like they have these things called sorrows that just, like, increase a stat or something. And a lot like the items, there's simple ones, and then there's, just, like, regular... there's not really, like, an opposite of simple. There's just simple and then normal, I guess, because... you'll find that in a lot of games, like a lot of like roguelikes especially too, you know, you'll have whatever amount of, you know, cool synergy items, like cool, like, you know, cool whatever, like when I do this, this happens, but like I find that a lot of times you'll just end up with like the back half of like a synergy, I guess, and it's like, well, what am I supposed to do with that? Like, I mean, even base stats to back this up. So the way that Crux approaches that is that, you know, you can essentially, when you have a choice set of items, you can, like, select one of the choices, or you can search through and manually pick one of the game's simple items, which are, like, just, like, very basic stat boosts. Like, they're meant to be, like, the starts of builds. So you can also find some critical hit chance, luster, things like that. And luster is probably, like, the most hilarious thing this game has to offer, because basically it's I guess you can call it an attribute, and basically what it does is it takes any incoming hit, it rolls whatever your luster chance is, and if it succeeds, it just completely deflects the attack and deals it back. So of course it's something I use on enemies too, because that's great. Unavoidable damage. No, most luster enemies don't start with luster, so you have a chance to like one-shot them first. Oh, that looks horrible. I'll just leave his gums out of it, I'll just give him teeth. But yeah, luster is probably one of the best things in the game, and there's very cheap ways to get your luster all the way up. Because your luck stat basically influences all procs that you get, and if you have any other, and also there's reroll items and stuff like that that make things like that basically guaranteed, depending on how highly you have that stuff stacked. Another really fun character is the Prophet, who's after the Burner. And his whole thing is that he rerolls all of his items every turn. So you're kind of just like stuck playing with like a bunch of random items, but he has like extra choices and extra rerolls and stuff like that. So if you don't like what you get, you can just change it. I'm really struggling with this guy. Or I'll just do something basic. I don't know if I should fill in his teeth or not. I'm looking at the original cardboard here, and there is no white, but leaving it like that feels kind of weird. I think I'll just leave it like that. I don't really care. Was working on some of his birthright effects today. Because in Isaac there's an item called Birthright, which basically, depending on what character you're playing, it is a different effect. And I'm basically ripping that off and adding it to my game. But, you know, I'll call it something else, don't worry. His is like ridiculous, it's just extra damage. I thought that would be funny. But yeah, there's also the greed layer guy. He's the miser, and his whole thing is just getting money, obviously. And he's pretty good at that. He was another fan favorite, but another part of his gimmick is that he couldn't share items with people, but now this game is pretty much single player because I can't do multiplayer. It's not really an issue, so it's not bad. Um, yeah, let's see. Yeah, there, and then the Bleak. The Bleak is the game's first 0 HP character of many, and his whole theme isn't really just that. It's also having good mana stats. So like he's like, I guess the game's first introduction to wait, this thing is bad, but it could actually be good. I guess. Um, and the bad part is the 0 HP, but there's like a few other characters that have weird stuff going on with them besides just 0 HP. Like the last character in the game, the Destroyer, he has he destroys his spells when he uses them, but he gets a bunch of new ones every turn, and there's ways around it. Like your damage stat decreases how much durability you actually spend on spells. Probably not gonna leave that hand yellow, even though, okay, I forgot. Yeah, if I had to pick a favorite, it'd probably be the Prophet, just because in a board game, re-rolling a bunch of cards manually is really tedious. But now that I have the chance to turn it into a video game, this looks like trash. But now that I have the chance to turn it into a video game, I'm sure it'll be a lot more fun actually being able to do that now. Let me look at this card, I might just get rid of his shoulder. Let's see how that looks. And then I can move this stuff closer to the center. I don't know. The original pieces were so small, and I had no idea how to deal with that. And somehow the characters just look better in that version. It's really strange, actually. This just sucks. I have a good idea of what's going on here now. Anyways, here, I'll cut to when I'm done with the pieces. About the burner is that he doesn't have a million parts like the Lover does with all these switch layers and bullshit that took so long, but we'll be making a new one, and with a lot less pieces, so I guess I'll just have to import all these manually. That's always a lot of fun. I'll skip to that. I have all the layers imported in the skeleton setup, which I don't plan on using that much, but it's still useful in case I want these things to move in a way that's consistent with each other. So the way I usually start this off is I just load up this whole thing, and you want the animation to loop, so you have to add a keyframe at the end, and I'll just cut out the talking, and I'll just time lapse this next part.